welcome to Virtual Vegfest Live. And we're back on another Tuesday, so excited about that. And Anthony DeGeorge is with us, and he is the owner of Plant Power Nashville and a nifty nonprofit that we're definitely going to focus on during our talk. So let's say thank you to the stream that's not actually happening on the bottom. So let me make sure that gets on there. Where are you? There we go. Let's say thank you to Fabulous for sponsoring our live talks this week and this month. They're our newest sponsor, and you can win one of their awesome new prize packs if you go to virtualvegfest.com and click the contest tab and enter our wish pond. We have 6 prizes, so I want to say thank you to Regain and Crafters Organics for sponsoring us in 2021. And going forward, we have Hodo Foods, Cinnaholic, Terraseed, Fabulous, Follow Your Heart, and oh my goodness, I don't know why I can't remember all of my sponsors, but there's another one. I got Terraseed again. What? All right, so there's 6 of them. Go to virtualvegfest.com, hit the contest tab, enter to win really cool prize packs. We give them away monthly. You have all these different options this year that we've added. So for those of you who have done it and are like, I've done everything, there's new stuff to do, especially since Fabulous is now one of the sponsors. If you have any questions or comments, remember that you can put them in the little box. And I guess I'm going to start the show. Remember, the Vegan Stew is on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it'll be tomorrow. We'll have a really cool topic conversation. We're definitely going to bring up everything that's going on with KFC, so tune in for that as well. So here we go. Hey, Anthony.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good.
I know it's like we haven't spoken for the last 20 minutes, but here we go.
How are you?
I'm doing well. Are you more zen?
Yes. Thank you. I was expecting like more of an intro, and you're just like, "Pop, how are you?" Got me off guard a little bit.
No, that's what I said. I'd rather you say who you are and whatever you want to share, because it's so informal. It's not informal. It's so formal, I should say, to read like something off a piece of paper or whatever. So it's more fun for me because I get to know more about you when you say about you than me talking about you.
Yes.
So how about you tell us about you now?
Okay. Well, my name is Anthony. I'm the chef and owner of Plant Power Nashville, which is a vegan meal delivery service in the Nashville area. I'm also the co-founder of Nashville Kids Cook, which is a nonprofit that offers free plant-based cooking classes to children. I live in the Nashville area. I've been arrested 3 times in my life. I really like mayonnaise and vampire movies. So that's me. Hi.
Okay, so you definitely, I told you what you say is going to ping what I want to know about. You've been arrested 3 times in your life. Yeah. So you said nothing was off limits as well. And you brought it up. So what for?
Nothing good. Nothing good.
Nothing good? All right.
Nothing good. Nothing terrible. Oh my gosh.
Okay, good.
There's nothing good.
All right. That's good because I guess it's all perspective.
Petty crimes. I was arrested once at my high school because I showed up to registration day. I think it was my junior year. I think. Anyway, it's registration day. So I'm like getting my photo taken for my ID and stuff. And I like set my jacket down on a bench while I was getting my photo taken. And I was a punk rocker when I was young. I mean, I guess I'm still a punk rocker, but less so now. And my jacket was a punk rock jacket with spikes and stuff. And it was kind of against the school rules, but I wore it anyway. And when I finished getting my photo taken, I went back to get my coat and it wasn't there. And I looked around for it, and the vice principal and the like security officer at the school, I don't know, he was a cop who like hung out at the school and harassed kids. They had my coat and they were like looking it over, and I said, "Hey, that's mine." And as I snatched it away, my pocket knife fell out of the pocket in the coat, and It's funny because I was just holding this in my hand, just playing with it, and it was a knife like this, which is illegal in the state of California, and so I got arrested at school. Anyway, that was coincidental that I was just like fiddling with that toy on my desk, and
that story came up. That's really interesting because Steven, who's my partner, you've met at Nashville Vegfest.
Right.
When I met him, I was 16, he was 17, and he was in that leather jacket and the combat boots, and he was that guy. He was my punk rocker boyfriend to start, like my first love, all the way back, a long time ago. So you say that, I know a lot of people who wore those spiky jackets and the green and purple mohawks and like that whole scene. That's what we grew up with. So
yeah.
It was we lived in New York, so
it got really boring.
No,
sold out.
No way. Disagree. And we grew up in New York, so we were going to Manhattan and going to the East Village when the East Village was like the best place on the planet.
I bet.
Not the way it is now, not all commercialized, but back when it was.
Did you ever go to CBGB's when it was still open?
I never made it there. Steven has made it there.
Yeah.
So, but it was the time frame. I went to one of the clubs recently closed. Which one was it? I mean, it maybe it'll come to me, but it just closed like late last year. And the Pyramid Club. So upset. So it's like everything from like our childhood of going to the city, everything's going away. And it's such a shame because it was some really, really cool things that we got to be part of. So, but let's briefly talk about, you've lived in a lot of places. I know that, in a lot of countries, but tell us about that. Where have you lived? You grew up in California. What part?
Yeah, I grew up in the Central Valley near Fresno. I'm from a town called Selma. It's the raisin capital of the world. It's on the sign when you walk in or when you drive into the city or the town, I guess. So I lived in California for a long time, and where I lived, it's really hot. It's agriculture. So super, super hot, and I hated it. So as soon as I was old enough, I left and I moved to Montana where it's very cold. And then I got really tired of the snow. So after a few years, I moved back west and I went to Portland. And I lived in Portland, Oregon for a really long time. And I lived there for a long time. And then I started kind of traveling for work. So if you want to be a professional chef, one of the best things you can do is go to Europe and cook. So I went to Italy for a couple of years. And I worked out there in a couple of different restaurants, and it was pretty great. And then I had to come back because there was some stuff happening with my family. It brought me back to the States, and then I kind of just bounced around for a while between California and back to Oregon. Eventually, I got a job with the Circus, and so I left and traveled with them for 3 years and went to Australia and Asia. And that was pretty cool. And then I got sick of that. So then I came back to the States and went back to Portland and was there for a while, and then moved to Nashville, of all places, back in 2016, and been here ever since.
Wow. What kind of circus?
Cirque du Soleil. It's a Canadian circus company. They do. There's no animals involved with Cirque du Soleil, thankfully. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done it.
Cirque du Soleil is amazing.
They're pretty cool. It was a good job. I mean, I got to travel and for free and hang out with really cool people and made some really good friends. And we did all of Australia, and then we were in Taiwan for a bit, and then we went to Japan for a year before I resigned and came back to the States.
Which show?
It's called OVO. The show is like insects that, sing and dance and stuff.
And do acrobatics. If anyone doesn't know Cirque du Soleil, look them up because it's my favorite Cirque du Soleil show, oddly enough, is Beatles Love.
Okay, cool. That's a
It's my
Las Vegas
favorite.
show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised. I've seen a bunch of them. I mean, oh,
Hmm.
Mystere, the Zumanity, Love Beatles love some of the traveling shows,
Yeah.
and that one really resonated. Beatles
Oh.
fan, but it was just the whole thing. The whole thing was just well done. Okay, bringing the, I mean, it was just amazing. So I highly recommend that one.
Hmm.
So what is Dilip saying? So I don't know much about circuses, not think of that as of this as the best one. So Dilip, check out Cirque du Soleil. And yes, CBGB's is closed because he said that. It's been closed for a little bit now. So just so you know, Dilip's local to my community, so that's awesome. Yeah, so that's amazing to get to travel with Cirque du Soleil. Did you happen, was the food happen to be vegan or you just had to cook
Oh
everything?
no, no, no. I mean the because you're cooking for the cast and the crew, so you've got
Yep.
technicians who want to eat bacon cheeseburgers every day, and you've got artists who eat steamed rice and vegetables every day.
Yep.
So the idea there is just to provide like a huge variety, and then people eat what they want to eat. So we provide two hot meals a day, and then had like a selection of cold items all day long. Because even when the show's not happening, there's people on site doing, either training. The artists are training. The technicians are working on stuff. There's office personnel. There's costume costume people. They gotta do laundry and touch up costumes. The whole thing. So it's the site operates all day long. So you gotta have food available all day.
Right, as Dilip just said, hard to satisfy all with food choices.
Yeah,
So, but
that's for sure. Yeah,
I
and
mean,
you get some really picky people. So you gotta. But it's such a different experience than working for a restaurant, because at a restaurant you never you can sort of predict what business is going to be like, but you can never really be sure. And at a restaurant, you just have to offer what you hope people will like. Um, but when your clientele never changes, I mean, we're cooking for the same 120 people every single day, 6 or 7 days a week. So you start to learn what their preferences are, so that you can offer, sort of refine what you're going to offer.
right, and they can tell you what they love and don't love about what you're making.
Yes, right, exactly.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
Well, don't make that again. No, but I love it. It's so hard. It's like five people love something and like 25 people hate it, but they want it. Like it's like
sure.
okay. Maybe so Dilip has a question. So how big was your staff?
Um, well, we had three. Let's see, we had three. We had a kitchen manager and three traveling chefs. And then in each city, we would hire temps who would fill in all the other positions. So we would hire a local chef, hire a couple of dishwashers, would hire a couple of local prep cooks, would hire what we call dining room attendants, because it's like a buffet setup. So there's no wait staff, but you still need people to clean up and pick up dirty cups and stuff. So the permanent staff, there's only four of us, but in each city, depending on the size of the city, sometimes we would the temp staff would change a little bit, which was kind of fun, because we would only stay in a city for usually on average about 3 months, and then move on. So we would hire a whole crew of people, 6 to 9 people, and then get to work with them and learn from them, and then move on to a new town and do it again. So I learned a lot. I got to work with some really amazing chefs, a couple of whom I'm still in touch with to this day. But yeah, it was great for a while.
That's incredible. So I don't normally ask this question, but where was your transition to veganism in all of this?
Well, when I was with the circus, when I first came back to the States from California, when I first came back to the States from Italy, sorry, I went to California. That's around the time I became vegetarian. I had just had some like family stuff. I had to go stay with my mom and help take care of the family for a bit. And I mean, I wish I had like a cool how I became vegan story, but I don't. I went to like this dive bar. I think it was an Irish pub, and I met this hot girl who was vegetarian, and I told her I was vegetarian too. And then we dated for like 3 years, so I had to be vegetarian. So like, that's it. So, so I was vegetarian for a while, and then I went and joined the circus. And when I went abroad with the circus, me and the vegetarian girl broke up, but I went abroad with the circus, and it stuck. So I was vegetarian for the most part. I was more pescatarian, I guess, because I did have fish sometimes. But then when I quit the circus and came back to the States, there was another girl who asked me to be vegan for 30 days, and I did, and then I never stopped. So that's right, vegan for the ladies. That's the way to do it.
That is not normally what happens. I mean, that happens a lot where a guy says, "Oh yeah, I'm this," because they want to be with that person, and then when they break up, you 3 years.
Sure. Well, I don't think
they go back.
I think it's quite common that maybe you're vegan and you're dating somebody who's an omnivore, and then you slowly convert them. I just did it a little bit differently. I was the converted one, but I just did it before the relationship started in order to jumpstart the relationship. But the thing I'll say about that is I kind of feel, and I always try to say this, that like that's what initially started it, right? But right. I feel like once you cut that stuff out of your life, it takes the blinders off, and then you become very acutely aware of all of the other reasons why you should be doing it anyway. So maybe you decide to go vegan for your health, and so you do it for a while, and then you start to become more receptive to the fact that it's actually much better for the environment for you to do it, and to eat vegan. And so then it gives you another reason that you're doing it. And then you become aware of all the ethical reasons that you should do it. And so now you have all of those reasons to be doing it, and it helps it stick more. But once the blinders are off, it's much easier to see like the big picture and be receptive to that stuff. And that's what happened to me. Once I went vegan for 30 days, and then, and then you start to notice like, all the cruelty and the environmental impact, and then like I can't just go back. Once you're aware of that.
Once you're aware, it's much harder to go back. You took. I love that your catalyst is the most interesting catalyst, because I don't normally ask that question, but I don't know you. I've met you. I've actually someone I've met in person who I'm having on, but I mean, you very briefly get to speak with me at the festivals when I'm running them.
Sure.
So I love that I actually love the story. It is a good story. It's the opposite of what normally happens when you do things for the member of an opposite sex, or just a relationship, I should say, because it could be same sex.
Sure,
so
of course. Yeah.
And it's almost like it's like what you needed. I guess it's what you needed at that moment, and then your eyes opened.
Yeah. And I mean, I should say that there were other things, there were other contributing factors. When I was in California and I met that first girl that was vegetarian, I was staying with my mom, who's a longtime vegetarian. So at home, I was eating vegetarian anyway. So when the people you live with are eating that way, it makes it much easier. I had also, in the past, I had tried being vegetarian multiple times. It just never stuck. I think in the past when I did it when I was younger, it was always mostly for health reasons. And I think that's the easiest car to get off. Or a train. Yeah, it's the easiest train to get off. So it never stuck. But then, once I had somebody in my life that I cared about that was doing it, then gave me more motivation. And plus, then if you're living with people, it makes it really easy to eat that way.
It does. It definitely it definitely helps. It's cool that your mom was vegetarian. So you weren't really fibbing all that much when you said
No.
that.
Well, what I like to say, which is kind of a cheat, is that as soon as I said, "Hey, I'm vegetarian too," I was vegetarian from that point forward. So
Right.
technically, it wasn't really a lie. I just became vegetarian in that moment.
Right.
So
She must have
a bit of a
been one
cheat.
hell of a person.
She's pretty cool. We're not together anymore, and she's but she's cool. Yeah, she's nice. We're still friends.
Okay, awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So when did you start Plant Power Nashville?
Oh, yeah. That started in. When did that start? That started in at the beginning of 2021, I guess. So about a year ago.
Wow.
So I was the head chef at a vegan restaurant here in Nashville for 3.5 years, and it was a great experience. And the company grew quite a lot while I was there, which was great, and I was really proud of that. And we got just such wonderful feedback from the guests, and I met a lot of the guests and made some friends there, and just really it was just overall a great experience. And then there was some sort of virus thing that happened. I don't know if you saw this in the news, but it for some reason, this little virus changed the way that the restaurant operated, and suddenly we didn't have the business that we had. When I started there, it was the business was kind of down here, and then over 3 years it grew, and then it kind of, when the virus came, it kind of went back to where it started. So the role that I had there just kind of seemed redundant, and just being like the head creative force at a restaurant that's operating with a bare bones crew just didn't really make sense anymore. So I left the restaurant and wished them well. And there had been this idea kind of kicking around for a while of doing this meal delivery service, but I call it meal delivery. It's a little bit between meal delivery and personal chef service. I like to think of it as the most affordable personal chef that you can find, because the menus are set in advance, but I try my best to have really open communication with all my clients so that any specific dietary needs that they're after, I'm able to address. And so I felt like that wasn't available to people. And this idea had been kicking around for a while. So once I left the restaurant, then I decided to give it a shot. And so it kind of just started out as an experiment. There were just a handful of clients in the beginning, and I was making food and then bringing it to their house, and it was going well. And then the client list just started growing and growing and growing and kept growing. So yeah, that's how it came to be.
Well, that's awesome. Can I ask what restaurant?
It's called Avo.
You worked at Avo?
Yeah, dude. We were at the first Vegfest that I worked was in 2017.
I have to go backwards. The one that was at Vanderbilt?
No. It was always at the. I think it was before you were involved. Yeah, I think it was before you were involved.
I was there for the first year, second year, missed the third year because it conflicted with one of our events.
Okay.
Fourth year, and took it over fifth year. So yeah, so Glenn started it, but I met Glenn and I came and helped. I emceed the speaker room.
Okay. So I was
each of those years. Yep.
I did one where Glenn was in charge, and then the second one I did, Glenn was not in charge anymore. So
Okay.
I'm not sure which. I think it was like 2017, 2018, or
All right.
2016, 2017, something like that.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure 2016 was the Vanderbilt one. So if you don't remember it
So
being
it
a
must have been
Vanderbilt,
17. Yeah.
yeah, 17, and then 18 I wasn't there, and then 19 I was
Okay.
back. So I think 19 is when I took it over, actually. So and Avo wasn't there in 19, but they were definitely there 16, 17.
Yeah.
So because I remember her bringing, especially in 17, she brought the raw brownies,
Hmm.
which were incredible.
Yeah.
Avo, one of my favorite restaurants in Nashville.
Yeah.
Oh, lucky for you. Oh, how fun for you. Yeah, they went from like all raw though, and they started adding some of the cooked food, and they took that raw lasagna off the menu because I know it was labor intensive to do the lasagna, but it was amazing.
Yeah. That was kind of a big deal, especially with the Vegfest crowd, because the staff came to Avo after the event,
Yep.
and Glenn especially kept asking for that stupid lasagna.
Yep.
So we actually, so there was one year that I didn't want to make the lasagna for a million reasons, which I won't. I'm not. I do have my soapbox right next to me here, but I'm not going to get up on it and rant about that stupid lasagna. But what I did instead was it actually motivated me and inspired me to create a dish that was similar to the lasagna. It had the exact same components, except that it was just built differently. So instead of layers of zucchini, the zucchini was cut into noodles, and then everything was like tossed together like a spaghetti and then put into a bowl. And instead of a layer of ricotta, there's just a big dollop of ricotta on top. So it had the exact same flavors because it was made of literally the exact same components, except instead of painstakingly layering all these things, which well, I won't get into it, but there was other issues with the lasagna. Part of it being that you have to make it ahead of time, and over time the vegetables would start to like lose their I want to say composure. That's not the word. They
The
lose
freshness,
their
right? I mean,
freshness, but
yeah.
also their structural integrity. They start to like get weepy and soft. But if you take all those vegetables and you keep them separate and fresh, and then mix the sauce and season them right before putting it on a plate and serving it, then the zucchini's crunchy, the flavors are brighter, the sauce isn't like weepy and watery all over the plate. It's so much better. And that pasta dish went on the menu that year, and we sold it all summer long. And to this day, as I understand it, to this day, people still ask about that dish, but unfortunately, you can no longer get that at Avo. So check out plantpowernashville.com
You're
for your
making it?
zucchini pasta needs.
Oh
If anybody
gosh.
asks for it, I'll be glad to make it. But so far, I haven't had any requests for raw vegan dishes.
They must not understand that, you know, that let me see, 16, it was 17. I think it was 2017. We went to dinner at Avo after the festival,
Yeah.
and they had the raw lasagna on the menu because Glenn asked for it. And oh boy, did I get it. And that's the last time I had it. So thank you. It was so good. It's a favorite. It's where we go every year. I mean, obviously we did takeout last year, but we
Right.
get food from Avo every year because it's amazing. So that's really awesome that that's where you
Cool.
worked. And yeah, I watched its growth for the time that you were there. I watched that happen. And then of course that nifty thing called COVID, just to be
That's
blunt,
what it's
just fucked
called.
up.
I couldn't remember
Yeah,
earlier what I was talking about.
it just fucked up the whole restaurant industry like completely. I mean,
Yeah.
I just
It certainly did. It didn't just fuck it up for. I mean, it's still fucked up, but I think it has changed the way that restaurants will operate in the foreseeable future. Hopefully, I mean, there was going to be a breaking point with how things operated, and I think that talking about catalysts like that definitely did it. So I think things have dramatically changed within the industry. And we're still seeing it now with quote unquote labor shortages, which I would call wage shortages, and restaurants having to close because they can't find staff because nobody wants to work for the kind of wages that restaurants are used to paying. So I don't think that's coming back. So
it's very interesting because working with a lot of vendors, especially food vendors, over the last year, some of the food vendors couldn't come to the events because they didn't have staff, right? Or they didn't have staff to do an event and run their restaurant or their business.
right.
And it's they blamed unemployment, they blamed the bump that people were getting, but then all that went away, and guess what, people are still having trouble keeping and
It's
getting
still there.
staff.
Yeah.
And that's something as a consumer that we need to look at and go, what's the why? What's your why? Are you treating people like crap? Because the restaurants that have kept staff and treat their staff really well, guess what? They survived and did what they could to keep their staff and bring them back as soon as they could. And the staff wanted to come back. Support those restaurants because they're doing the right thing by the people, and they have good food.
100%.
So yeah, that's impressive that you a lot. Well, it is impressive. At the same time, people who pivot and because of a pandemic and change and adjust their world and their lives, it's the only way that you'll survive, because you have to. I mean, you have to do something. You look at yourself and you go, well, what can I do? And you're offering your community this amazing opportunity to eat delicious food. And he's really busy, so don't contact him tomorrow.
But what you're talking about is doing something out of love. And anybody who knows me well will tell you I don't do stuff out of love, Helene. I do stuff out of spite. So let me tell you about spite. There are a number of meal delivery services in Nashville, and nationwide. You can order food, like it comes in a box full of styrofoam with dry ice, and you pay $22 for a meal that you either have to prepare yourself or comes frozen, and you microwave it to death to reheat it. And that was part of my motivation for trying this. Is there are meal delivery services, and I'm a huge proponent of meal delivery direct from businesses designed to deliver meals. I am a staunch opponent of the kind of businesses that and the kind of businesses that will deliver food from a restaurant or a business not designed for delivery and take it to your house. Your DoorDashes, your Postmates, your Uber Eats. Again, not going to soapbox, but I don't think those are good for the consumer. I don't think they're good for the people that make those deliveries. I could talk about this for an hour. I don't have that kind of time. So not those businesses, because I don't like those. But what I do like are businesses that deliver meals directly to people's homes, because there aren't just certainly there are people that just want food delivered because they're hungry and they don't feel like going anywhere. But there are a lot of people that can't go anywhere, or they can't cook, for health reasons, mobility reasons, for whatever. They need food brought. I was a delivery driver for Meals on Wheels for a spell, and it was a great program. The quality of food isn't great, which is unfortunate, but it was really good. Some of those people, the only interaction with another human they get every day is the meal that's delivered to their house. Anyway, so they're a great program. Meals on Wheels. Donate some money. You got extra cash. Go donate right now. Anyway, so I like the delivery service, but most of them are very, very, obviously they're very profit driven. And part of what you get with a company like that is just trying to, aiming for that bottom line, is a lack in quality. There's a lack in customer service. There's a lack in one-on-one like communication with the client. And so out of spite, I wanted to develop a business that would actually do the things that those guys aren't doing. So Plant Power Nashville isn't just vegan food delivered to your door because you don't want to go out. It's food that is prepared with really high quality ingredients with a lot of care and attention to detail. I mean, I've been a professional chef for 20 years in restaurants and catering all over the world. So that's what I know how to do. It's the only gift that I have that I can share with the world, besides my stunning good looks. Then there's the communication with the client directly, where I'm actually talking to these people to find out what they need, what they want, what they don't want, what they can't have, etc. So we can custom tailor the food. And I forgot the third thing. It was really important. I lost my train of thought. Anyway, but these are addressing the things that these other companies aren't willing to. Oh, and I say quality? I guess I did say quality. Anyway, just trying to address the things that these other companies weren't doing. It felt like nobody was doing it. I wanted to do it. There was actually, for a time, another meal delivery service, a vegan meal delivery service in Nashville that was like delivered meals. But that company has gone on to bigger and better things, and they're doing gangbusters now. So there's kind of an opening. So it was the right time to give it a try without stepping on anybody's toes. So
you might not want to own up to the love part, but I'm not buying it. That is definitely based in love for what you do. Love and caring for the people who are receiving your food, making sure that food is what they want to eat and is healthy and is made from quality ingredients. I do believe that's a foundation of love. So,
all right, if you say so.
But I totally get the wanting to do better than what's out there, and all the crap that people have to weed through. So they find you. That's so amazing. Much. And now they all need to, every one of your clients, as your existing clients, need to order the vegan lasagna in a bowl. So maybe you'll get some orders lasagna. For that.
Right. That's fair.
I think when I'm in town, I'm going to request that. So just so I can have it. All right. So we're going to pivot to the nonprofit. Tell me all about it, because I don't know. I just know that it exists. I want to know everything.
Yeah. So the nonprofit I co-founded with my business partner, Kristen Edmondson, who's a registered dietitian, which I still don't know what that means. Her and I co-founded a nonprofit called Nashville Kids Cook. And what we do is we offer originally in person.
All right. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. My bad.
Fine. So what Nashville Kids Cook does is offers culinary education to kids free of charge. So kids can sign up and they can come take a class and learn how to cook a meal. There's some nutritional information that's peppered in throughout the classes. They're learning not only how to make a dish, but also the techniques used to make the dish so that they can apply those to other things. And we started out doing in-person classes at farmers market. And then that virus thing happened. So we went to all virtual, which was kind of scary at first to do virtual classes for cooking, which is a very hands-on experience. But it worked out really well. And the students were all really attentive and receptive to whatever, boring information we had to dump on them. And they followed the instructions very, very well without needing somebody to stand over them and show them how to do it. which is something that I don't know if we would have learned that without having pivoted to virtual. The in-person classes were very hands-on and let me show you how to do that. And virtually we can't do that because it's over Zoom, it's with webcams, and all we can do is say, this is how it's done. Look at how I'm doing it. Now you do it too and hope for the best. And for the most part, it's gone really, really well. So we've been operating for just over 2 years now. And we're hoping to eventually get back to in-person classes, but obviously we're taking that with a lot of caution. And yeah, it's been really good. So we've done a bunch of different stuff. I should say that all of the recipes are plant-based, but we don't really talk about that in class. Like, we don't promote it as a plant-based cooking class or a vegan cooking class. It's just a cooking class, and all the recipes happen to not contain animal products. So as it's virtual, we ask all the parents they have to get the ingredients for the class. So for the most part, we encourage them to buy plant-based when there's a difference. So for example, if there's butter in the recipe, we'll suggest that they buy a plant-based butter or margarine product. But at the same time, we don't want them to go out and spend $6 on a block of Earth Balance if they've got butter in the fridge.
Right.
But yeah, for the most part, it's been really, really good. And right now we're on winter break. We'll be coming back in the spring for spring classes. Generally, we do 2 classes a month, so every 2 weeks. And yeah, it's been really good. We've had a lot of great feedback. We've also worked with a couple other like private groups. We did 2020. We worked with the Nashville, what's it called? Nashville Metro Library. Oh, geez, what's it called? We worked with the Nashville Library in 2020. Originally, we were going to do classes in person with them, and then that virus, so we switched to virtual. We've also done classes with the Girl Scouts. So we've done classes for full Girl Scout troops, which has been pretty neat. And most of the students we ask be between the ages of 9 and 11, which I think is 4th and 5th grade. But there's a little bit of flexibility with that, especially being virtual. We have a student who's 7 years old. Her mom measures all the ingredients out ahead of time. During the class, part of the lesson is measure out the ingredients, but for the 7-year-old, it's easier just to have little cups of things. But the benefit of being virtual is that the students don't have to be in the Nashville area. So we've got one student in particular who's from Florida. We've had a student from Wisconsin. We've had a student from California. So it kind of opens up for other people to join. But yeah, Nashville Kids Cook, check it out.
That's really cool. So take me through, like, how long is a class and what do they typically make?
So usually the classes are about an hour. Mm-hmm. Some classes stretch into the 1.5-hour mark, but normally we try to shoot for an hour. All of the recipes are designed to be quick and snappy with not a lot of waiting time, because downtime where they're, we want to keep their attention. Yep. So the hardest recipes to execute are sweets and baked goods, because there's a lot of waiting for things to bake and then waiting for things to cool. But we have done a couple of those and they've been all right. So for example, one of the more popular recipes that is sort of one of our basic intro lessons is cauliflower tacos. And So we'll make I can walk you through the whole recipe. So you take cauliflower and you put it through a cheese grater because it's safe for kids and also gets you the texture that you want. You could use a food processor too, but cheese grater works great. And you grate the cauliflower and you put it in a saute pan on the stove with a little bit of oil, a little bit of water, and some taco seasoning from a packet. Okay. And then you cook the cauliflower with the seasoning until it's brown and all the water's evaporated, and now you have taco meat done. Then we make guacamole. So they're learning how to open an avocado. They're learning some knife skills for the onions because we put green onions in the guacamole instead of red onions because green onions are much easier for kids to cut. So green onions go into the avocado. We'll slice open a lime. We'll teach them how to like roll. If you roll a lime on the countertop, it helps get the juice out. So we'll make guacamole, and then we do flour tortillas because they don't really need, like corn tortillas need to be pan fried, but flour tortillas are good to go right out of the package. So flour tortilla, cauliflower taco meat, guacamole, and taco. So that we can condense into an hour, slowly walking the kids through it.
Well, one, it sounds delicious, and
it's
I mean, it's healthy as well. So I mean, it's it was.
Oh, you know what?
influences
I'm sorry. There's also tomatoes and lettuce on the taco. I can't believe
that makes sense.
Yeah, so we dice a tomato and we shred lettuce because part of the lesson is learning the knife skills. So we do a full. So I'll go over knife safety with them on how to hold a knife, and part of the transition actually, because when we were doing in-person classes, we were using these like safety knives for kids. They're made out of plastic. They don't cut anything really.
Right.
Maybe like soft butter they'll cut through, but they don't really cut anything.
So the tomato is like mush as opposed to pieces of tomato.
It just right. It's like cutting a tomato with a hammer. You just smush it. So we're using those, and once we went virtual, you know, we're not there, so we can't hand out those knives. So it's, you know, what knife do you have in your house? And some of the parents provided, there's a different type of safety knife that just the design of the handle is different, where their fingers are never in danger. But for the most part, they're using real knives. And I personally feel it's important for them to learn how to use these tools. I mean, if they're learning on this plastic thing that can't slice or anything, they're not really learning, are they? Because, you know, this isn't the tool they're going to keep using. So learning knife safety is really important. We also teach sanitation in the class, which is really important for food safety, is, you know, making sure your hands are washed properly, making sure you're cleaning as you go so you don't make a big mess everywhere. You know, which from my like background as a restaurant cook, you know, that stuff's been ingrained in me like so hardcore. And I think it's really important for kids to learn that stuff, that this is fun, but it's also very important that we, you know, treat it with the respect that it deserves. You have to use the tools as they're intended to be used safely. You know, you have to be clean when you work, stuff like that. I think it's really important.
So how do the kids, do the parents pay? I mean, as a nonprofit, how does the nonprofit work? How do you raise funds to do this? Do you get donations? I mean,
no. So from the jump, it was meant to be a free class, and part of the reason that we formed the nonprofit is because originally we were doing it at a farmer's market, and the people that ran the farmer's market sort of they seemed to want it to be something that people paid for, and my business partner and I weren't really cool with that. We want it to be open and accessible to everybody. no matter how much money their family has. And it doesn't seem fair that just the, affluent families with money who want to drop off their kids for an hour for a class should be able to. So I feel, it's especially important in low income families that more opportunities are provided, in my opinion. Anyway, so it's always been a free class. We do have PayPal donation link on the website. Some parents donate, some don't. We leave it up to them. Right now, because we're virtual, the operating costs are pretty low. My business partner and I basically are volunteers at this point. We're not drawing a salary or anything. Once we go back to in-person classes, then our costs go up, because then we're the ones buying all the product and reserving the place where we're preparing the meals and stuff. So, but for now we're doing okay. If anybody wants to donate to the cause or volunteer, they can go to NashvilleKidsCook.com and push some buttons on the site, and it would be greatly appreciated.
Do you have NashvilleKidsCook.org?
No, we have .com because the .org was like $600 for some reason.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I hate that. I hate when that happens. I wonder if I would keep checking it to see if it becomes available, and if it does snatch that baby up.
Snatch it up. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to do that with Asheville Vegan Fest. Like when I started, it wasn't available. .com, I guess, and it became available. So that was.
You got it.
Yeah, thank goodness. So, yeah, that's pretty remarkable. Personally, I don't know if you ever have to go back into in person. I mean, keeping it virtually, one, keeps your costs down. Two, gives the kids actually more real life experience because they can use the knives in their homes. Three, kids that age can use knives.
Yeah.
They need to be taught that skill, because if you look at, Gordon Ramsay's show with the kids that, what is it? America's what a stupid show name. I don't remember. So he does a show with children as cooks.
Is it a show where he screams at little kids and makes them cry? That sounds awful.
He's actually really cute and sweet to the kids for the most part. I mean, he's not easy on them, but the kids are as young as 7.
Oh.
And as old as, I think, 13. So, and they are like, you imagine like little 7-year-olds, they put like a little box on the floor so they can reach the stove and the cutting area. So they stand up on the box and they get up there, and they're like with their knives and they come out with amazing dishes. So you're setting that foundation for these kids, one, to understand like a healthy meal, and that you don't have to eat, obviously, meat with that meal for it to be good and delicious. And, you're right. When it comes to preparing vegetables or plant-based food, you probably are going to use your knife more and have more skills to prepare that, to make sure that meal is right. And also the timing of how to cook the food matters as well. You can cut the lettuce first, but you probably should cook the cauliflower because you'll have like lettuce, tomato, green onions, and guacamole. And then you'll be like, oh, that other part. I'm hungry, but now I have to cook. So I love what you're doing. I absolutely love it. And I love that you were conscious enough and considerate enough and kind enough to be aware that there are children out there who should be able to participate, even if they don't have the funds to do so.
Yeah. And like I said, that's always been part of the goal, is to introduce these kids to some of this food. I mean, we especially looking forward to doing in-person classes and going to areas and neighborhoods that, working with some kids that just aren't used to seeing or eating certain fresh vegetables. You know, I think introducing them to these things is really important. Um, just in my own personal experience, seeing the way that my parents were maybe less active in the kitchen, and seeing other family where the parents weren't doing a lot of cooking at home, so they're not passing on this knowledge to their kids, and then they're not getting in the schools. I don't think, because home ec isn't really a thing anymore. Perhaps for the best, but there's no cooking courses in public schools, and um, they're not getting it anywhere else except for TV. But I don't really think that sticks too well. So kids grow up and they don't really know how to cook, and they have kids and don't have any skills they can teach, and the cycle persists. So I think it's really important to, whether or not it sticks. I mean, maybe they enjoy it, maybe they don't. Maybe they learn like 2 or 3 recipes and that's all they cook for the rest of their lives. But that's at least something.
Well, it's important. You're right, because if they learn, if you get over the hump and the fear of preparing stuff at home,
right,
then you won't continue with that pattern of eating out,
right,
takeout, dining out. And what else does that lead to? It leads to obesity, high blood pressure, heart disease, strokes, diabetes, cancer, because you can't eat out all the time and be healthy.
right.
So you are. I mean, I don't feel like these kids are gonna like leave this and go, I'm never gonna touch a knife again, unless they absolutely hate it. But you'll know that pretty quickly, because they'll be like, I have to do what? Like, why am I here? I mean, but I'm hoping that the parents are signing the kids, because the kids are like, yeah, I want to learn that. Or the parents are like, you need to learn this because I never did.
Right.
So please, enjoy it. And plus you get to eat. And I like that you do bake stuff, because even though there's that, I mean, if you make a cupcake, you got 10 minutes of baking, but they get to eat a cupcake after that. So I'll wait the 10
Yeah.
minute. Or there's 5
We-
extra for like the cooling. Like, I'll wait.
We've done that for our December class. Was it last year? Was no. So in December we did a holiday cookie class. So it's 2 holiday cookies. We have done cupcakes before, and it's the timing's a bit of an issue, but it gives us an opportunity to, again, pepper in some nutritional information, which my business partner is great at. She knows all about the nutrition stuff. All I know about is how to make things taste good. I think there's like vitamin K in tomatoes. I don't really know more than that. So
Yes.
yeah, but hopefully we'll get back to in-person classes soon. Whenever this, when the pandemic's over in like 2035, and we can go back to hang out in rooms together without masks, we'll do classes again, and all of my students will be in their 20s, and
It'll be maybe their kids.
maybe their kids. Yeah. They'll bring their kids to learn how to cook. It'll be great.
That's so funny. I love it. It's amazing. It's important. It's so important, and it's needed. And as a kid that I grew up cooking. I had to, because I was the youngest of 4 kids by 7, 10, and 11 years. And there
Wow.
wasn't really like, I had to learn to cook. So and I also had to learn to cook because if my siblings, my older brothers made food, they ate it. And if anything was put in the fridge, they ate it. Because
Yeah.
if I'm 7, they're 17 and 18 years old. I mean, they're younger than that. So Paul, 7, he'd be 14. So, I mean, and they were athletes. So we would hide food and then see who could find it. And whoever found it ate it. Because it's the only way you could get the thing that you really wanted to be there when you went back for it, was to hide it. So I learned to cook pretty young. So I was making full on meals. I used to, the funny thing for my dad, I used to make him breakfast, and he was a caterer. He worked in a catering hall, so it was in a catering hall in Long Island, and he would come home with like the little checks that the restaurants would use as samples because they would get them. So
Yeah.
he would give them to me. So I would make him breakfast and write him a check, and he would pay it.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So like French toast and omelets and like all that stuff. Because I didn't go vegetarian until I was 19 vegetarian, but 15 I gave up red meat. So I mean, I've been cooking for a long time, but that's not, one brother can't boil water and the other one can. My sister and my other brother could be chefs. So, and I'm not quite sure where the skill came from because I don't know, but
They're
we have
probably
it.
watching that Ramsey show with the kids and learning from those 7-year-olds on their soapboxes or whatever.
Well, they didn't have that when we were growing up. We we had, we didn't. I had a question for you. I don't remember. Are you kind of silly with the kids? Are you like just
I don't know if silly is the right word. I try. Well, first of all, I put at least 2 Post-it notes on the computer that say "don't swear," so that I remember not to curse. And so far, I'm pretty sure because we've done 2 years of classes. I'm pretty sure. I don't think I've slipped yet. I don't know. Maybe Kristen could speak to that, but I'm pretty sure I haven't slipped yet. I do tend to make really sarcastic jokes. Most of the time it's for the benefit of trying to get Kristen to crack because while I'm doing the cooking, she's moderating the class and keeping an eye on the kids if they have questions, because they'll raise their hand if they're behind or lost or confused. So most of the time I'm just trying to get her to crack. I also know that the part of the benefit of the virtual class is when we did in-person classes, the parents would drop off their kids and then fuck off for an hour.
right?
But now the parents are like just off screen, like ready to help out, which has kind of been good for a number of reasons. Partly because the kids are doing it, and there are some students who are like, go in the other room, this is my thing, I don't need you here. But others, their parents are involved and it's like a group activity for them, which I think is pretty neat. So a lot of jokes are directed towards making Kristen break, but also I know there's the parents right off screen that I can make a joke that the kids probably don't get, but the parents will, which I find that it's just a way to entertain myself.
So I mean we're over time, but would you be interested in doing this on here?
Sure. Yeah.
I would love to have it on Virtual Vegfest Live. Obviously, more like an afternoon thing, probably like a Sunday afternoon or something, because it would make more sense.
That's when we do the classes, is Sunday afternoons. So that would be great.
So that, and I bring that up because last year, because of COVID, we did the biggest vegan egg hunt ever, I think is what we called it. So we did a Zoom virtual egg hunt. Well, egg. I put egg like because the parents had to go hide stuff. Right, they had to go hide whatever they hid, and it was all vegan. And so I have a whole bunch of kids. We had a lot of kids sign up for that. I have a whole mailing list of that information that I'm pretty sure those parents would probably love for their kids to have this opportunity. And
that's great.
Hopefully get you some donations because a lot of those parents can give you a donation. So because the person who was partnered in the event was Marisa from Vegucated.
Cool.
You know the movie Vegucated?
Cool. No.
So
I'll check it out now.
Yes. So I mean, I have a feeling that I'd love to work with her again. And if we can kind of come together and do something and make it like a fundraiser for you, I feel like that would be really neat. And like all those kids, like, cause part of the egg hunt thing was that they did there was a food thing, a food part to it. They had to
Okay.
they had to make out of fruit and vegetables. They made like really pretty flowers and designs that they could eat. So
Right.
right, so the
Okay.
kids had you. It's if there's it's on Zoom. It's somewhere. It's long. It was
All
long. It
right.
was a couple of hours, but a little too long. But the kids loved it. So the opportunity to do more. I mean, that many kids. So if you can get like 50, that'd be awesome. Or with this, it could be
Yeah.
anything. So because you can do it through this, and
Yeah.
you don't have to see the kids. The parents would have to be part of it too, and
Yeah.
then you just
Yeah.
reinforce
Which,
everything with them too.
yeah, we do a
Right.
slightly different format when the class size gets that big, because for our classes we have, maybe 12 kids, so it's very interactive, and we're keeping an eye on the students the whole time and answering questions and interacting. So it sounds more like a demo follow along kind of a thing if there's that many students. But yeah, that sounds like fun.
All right, we can set that up. I think that'd be awesome. All right. Well, so how do people get in touch with you if they want to do anything that you
Um,
do?
yeah, so if you've got kids ages 9 to 11, or if you're friends with kids from playing Fortnite or Minecraft or whatever, send them over to NashvilleKidsCook.com. We've got classes coming up in the spring. We'll go all summer long, maybe into the fall, and then we do a little treat in the December for the holidays. If you're in the Nashville metro area and you want some delicious vegan food delivered to your house, or want to buy a used VCR, you can contact me through plantpowernashville.com, also on Instagram, plantpowernashville. And if you want to check out my musings, you can go to Saute Slut on Instagram. That's SATUE slut, like me, on Instagram. Also on Twitter, but don't go to my Twitter because it's foul. You don't want that in your life. Yeah, so that's it. So thank you. Yeah, check me out.
Okay,
Oh, one
that's
more
good.
thing. Sorry, hold on. One more thing that you mentioned at the very beginning. You talked about Cinnaholic. And I got to say, I went to Cinnaholic one time, your sponsor. Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So I'm only going to say nice things. I went to Cinnaholic, and boy, those first few bites were great. I'm not a big sweets guy, so like 2 or 3 bites, I'm good. But I heard about Cinnaholic from a good friend of mine by the name of Ashley, who lives in Knoxville, because I was driving through Knoxville, which is the closest Cinnaholic to where I live, I think. Anyway, Ashley hosts a podcast called Behind the Tofu that I was a guest on a while back, and it's really cool, and you should check that out. Also, Cinnaholic is a great sponsor, so thumbs up to them.
So the Cinnaholic that you went through,
Yeah.
that you went to in
Yes.
Knoxville
Knoxville.
is by Holly. She is the one of the top. She runs 2 of the top producing Cinnaholics in the country, or of
Oh,
the whole
wow.
Cinnaholic world. Yes.
Dang. That's
she has
great.
she has the one in Knoxville, and she has one in Gatlinburg. So she
It's
opened
so
up.
good. It's so good. I can't eat more than a couple bites of something that sweet. It was really delicious. I'm just not a big sweets guy. Otherwise, I'd be raving about it.
It's decadent, especially depending on what you put on
Super,
it.
super decadent. Oh my gosh.
It was like it's ridiculous. So when we drove to Nashville, we stopped at the Cinnaholic in
Nice.
Knoxville just to support Holly's store. And up until the end of last year, we'd never gone to the one locally where we live.
Oh, okay.
We've only gone to the one in Knoxville.
I mean, it's really awesome that there's vegan options at a place with such decadent sweets, because usually that's not the case. So that's really, really rad. And my friend Ashley, who hosts Behind the Tofu podcast, check it out. She recommended that as one of the places I stop, and I did. And yeah, it was good. It was good. Yeah.
Oh,
So
definitely.
thanks, Holly, for the cinnamon roll. I don't remember what I had. Cinnamon roll with frosting, probably.
Yeah, with there's so many different there's so many iterations. It's of when I had Cinnaholic on to talk about being the sponsor,
Yeah.
they're statistically, I think, over 1 million different ways that you can get your
Oh,
cinnamon roll.
can I get my cinnamon roll with mayonnaise? Because I might show up more often. If you had a
they
vegan
have
mayo
saved they
cinnamon
have
roll.
they have savory rolls. They don't
Oh,
always
all
have.
right.
They've had pizza rolls, which were delicious.
Nice.
So it being rolled up with like vegan meat, like vegan crumbles, and then the
Okay.
sauce and the
Yeah.
vegan cheese, and that rolled up, and then with like cheese and the
Right.
marinara on top. It was amazing.
Huh. That
So
sounds pretty cool.
yes, they will do savory and not just sweet. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe when we're driving to Nashville, if they have that, I'll bring you
Right.
one.
Like a cinnamon roll with cauliflower taco meat and guacamole frosting. How about that? Take
Yeah.
that, Holly. Take that one, Holly. That one's for free. All right.
As a cinnaholic, if they could, they they're yeah, they're always like trying to switch things up. And just vegan wise, like they make sure every single ingredient is 100% vegan. And the person who I
That's
had on,
cool.
because I remember her name, is the person who makes sure of that, 'cause she is the in-house vegan for Cinnaholic.
Nice.
So yeah, well, thank you so much. It was a lot of fun, which I knew it would be, but
Cool. Thanks for
thank
talking to
you.
me.
Oh, you're welcome. I hope you have a great night.
You too.
Bye, Anthony. Well, everyone, thank you once again for joining Virtual Vegfest Live. This was amazing. So you have your marching orders to check out the Behind the Tofu podcast and to go to plantpowernashville.com if you're local in Nashville to get some amazing food. I highly recommend the vegan lasagna, the raw lasagna bowl that he's going to make. And then NashvilleKidsCook.com if you have children that want to learn to cook. Well, what a great way to do that. And it's virtual, so it could be anywhere from wherever you're watching if you know children that'd be interested. There we go. So, tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the vegan stew. You can see right there. We are going to be talking about I just told Kimberly it on Monday, but I mean, at the vegan rebuttal, that's it. What does that mean? Well, you'll need to tune in to find out. And we're definitely going to be talking our current events. Beginning of the show is definitely going to be talking about Kentucky Fried Chicken and Beyond Meat nuggets that have, I guess, devastated the vegan community all over the world. I'm not quite sure what to say about that, but let's see. I'll say stuff tomorrow. And then Mondays, remember, wake up in yoga at 8 a.m. with Kim, and then 7 p.m. is Fireside Chat with Kimberly. And then first Wednesday of every month is Coach Kayla. And we'll look to add more shows. So that'd be neat too. Remember to enter our contest. Thank you to Fabulous for being our sponsor. virtualveterans.com. Click the contest tab. Enter to win cool 6 prizes of all the people that Terraseed, Hodo Foods, Follow Your Heart, Cinnaholic. I just can't remember. Revolution Gelato. There they are. It was Revolution Gelato that I couldn't remember earlier. You get ice cream shipped to you if you win that prize. How awesome. So be kind. Remember, there's a nasty pandemic virus floating in the air. So not only wear your mask, but you probably want to look at the type you're wearing and make sure that it's on correctly because breathing will get you sick. And we don't want that. We want you all to be happy and healthy and kind because, it's a tough world out there. So be kind to one another. And I'll see you tomorrow at the Vegan Stew. Have a good night. Bye.